Welcome to my channel. The morning sunlight hit my face like a spotlight. I opened my eyes and froze, not because of the light, but because everything about me felt wrong. My hands brushed against silky sheets, and I realized they weren't my hands. Slimmer, softer, the nails perfectly manicured, painted a delicate shade of pink. My chest heaved oddly, lighter and somehow fuller, and my stomach felt different, more curved than ever before. I scrambled upright and stumbled to the mirror. What stared back was her face, my best friend's face. The same sharp cheekbones, the mischievous arch of her eyebrows, the curve of her lips, and the same wide, sparkling eyes I had teased her about for years. Only now they were mine. Impossible, I whispered, my voice higher, lilting, almost musical. It wasn't mine, it was hers. Every movement I made, every twitch of a muscle, felt feminine, alien, yet familiar. I spun in the mirror, dizzy, clutching the edge of the desk, and suddenly I was laughing. A laugh that wasn't mine, or maybe it was. The line between our identities blurred instantly. Then came the knock. My own voice, hers, echoed from the hallway. "Hey, wake up. You're going to be late." I froze. I couldn't scream. I couldn't explain. I was trapped inside her life, her body, her identity. Panic and curiosity warred inside me. Every detail screamed her existence. The scent of her perfume lingering in the air, the posters on the walls, the clothes hanging perfectly in the closet. Even her favorite skirt was draped across the chair, teasing me. I wanted to run, but every step felt like my body had a mind of its own, swaying in rhythm I didn't control. I grabbed her notebook, flipping through the doodles, schedules, and scribbled thoughts. Her life, the small, intimate details, were now mine to navigate. And yet, a part of me couldn't stop staring at the reflection in the mirror, twisting, turning, testing the unfamiliar curves, the way my hair fell over my shoulders. Panic mixed with a strange thrill, a dangerous fascination. A soft giggle escaped me as I twirled in her skirt. It was just fabric, and yet it felt like a key, unlocking feelings I never knew I had. I could feel the sway of the hips, the subtle pressure of the waistband against my waist, the way my reflection seemed to watch me with approval, even mischief. I realized then, I wasn't just wearing her face. I was walking, talking, thinking, even feeling, like her. Every instinct screamed for me to resist, to fight, to scream. But another, quieter voice whispered curiosity, daring me to explore this impossible new reality. By the time I heard her footsteps coming up the stairs, I knew the day would test everything: my courage, my identity, and my ability to navigate a world that suddenly saw me as someone else entirely. The first moments alone had shown me one undeniable truth: this wasn't a dream. This was magic, messy, surreal, uncontrollable magic, and I had no idea what it wanted from me. The moment I stepped out of my best friend's room, the world hit me like a storm. The hallway looked exactly as she had left it: posters, books, little trinkets. But now, every step I took in her shoes, her skirt, her body, felt like walking through a foreign reality that somehow belonged to me. I paused at the mirror in the hallway, catching a glimpse of myself. My reflection stared back, poised, perfect, undeniably feminine. I barely recognized the face, the curves, the delicate hands. Panic bubbled in my chest, yet beneath it, a strange excitement prickled my skin. My reflection seemed to smirk, almost mocking me. "You're living my life now. Survive it." Downstairs, her parents were blissfully unaware. Her mom asked casually, "Morning, sweetie. Ready for school?" I froze for a moment, lips trembling, my voice high and lilting, almost musical. "Why, yeah. I'm ready," I stammered, fully inhabiting her tone. My stomach twisted. Every word felt like stealing, yet every glance at her parents' approving smiles made me realize I had to play this role perfectly. The bus ride to school was worse. Sitting in the back, I noticed the way people turned to stare. Friends, classmates, even strangers. My movements, the sway of my hips, the slight tilt of my head, all screamed her. I was hyper-aware of every brush of my skirt against my legs, every flick of my hair over my shoulder. "Whoa, is that?" one classmate whispered. I nearly choked, instinctively adjusting my posture, trying to mimic the subtle grace I had always admired in her. I realized then that surviving this day would take more than courage. It would take observation, mimicry, and a confidence I didn't know I had. During first period, I had to speak in class. My best friend's voice, now my own, flowed out smoothly, melodic, confident. But every sentence was a tightrope. A slip, a stumble, and everyone would notice. Every compliment she had earned effortlessly suddenly felt like a test I had to pass. I could feel my pulse hammering, my heart threatening to betray me with every word. Lunchtime brought a new challenge. Sitting at her usual table, surrounded by friends who had known her forever, I felt exposed, like a secret in plain sight. Whispers circled, glances flicked, and I caught snippets of conversation. She looks different today, and did she do something with her hair? I forced a smile, letting my fingers brush the edge of the table in the way she always did, trying to match her gestures perfectly. Between classes, I discovered something unexpected. Each time I moved, each step I took, I felt a growing familiarity with her body, the way my skirt swayed, the tilt of my hips, the rhythm of my steps. My panic didn't vanish, but it mingled with an irresistible thrill. The impossible reality of living as her, being her, was starting to shape me in ways I didn't anticipate. By the afternoon, I found a quiet corner in the library to catch my breath. I traced the contours of my new hands, ran my fingers through the soft waves of my hair, and whispered to myself, "How am I, me?" The question had no answer yet, but a subtle truth crept in. Living as her was forcing me to explore parts of myself I didn't know existed. Curiosity, boldness, even a spark of empowerment. And then, as I walked down the crowded hallway between classes, I felt it. A subtle glance from someone I didn't know, lingering a beat too long. My reflection in a glass window caught my eye, and I realized with a jolt, the world now saw me as her. I was invisible, yet hypervisible, navigating her life with my mind, my instincts, and this strange new body. By the end of the day, exhausted, exhilarated, and terrified all at once, I knew one thing: this wasn't just a prank or a moment of magic. It was a total takeover, a week-long immersion into someone else's identity, and I had no map to guide me. Every smile, every gesture, every word could be a mistake, or a triumph. That night, alone in her room once again, I caught my reflection in the mirror. The soft curve of her jaw, the glint in her eyes, the sway of my body. I was learning, adapting, surviving. And yet the thrill whispered at me, this is only the beginning. The house was silent, shadows stretching across the walls as the sun sank lower. Finally alone, I closed the door behind me and let the tension unravel. The first thing I noticed was how alien my own reflection had become. Every curve, every delicate line of my new body screamed my best friend, yet something deep inside me hummed with intrigue. I sank onto her bed, skirt swishing around my thighs, and ran my fingers along the hem. It felt impossibly soft, fluid, almost alive. I shifted, testing the movement, the subtle sway of my hips. A shiver ran through me, not fear, not embarrassment, but an odd curiosity. The mirror called to me. I stood and stepped closer, tilting my head, studying my reflection. Her eyes, my eyes now, sparkled with mischief. I raised a hand, traced the curve of my cheek, and caught myself smiling. Not the awkward, nervous smile from the morning, but a confident, tentative grin. I was discovering her body, and myself at the same time. Clothes became my playground. I rifled through her wardrobe, layering skirts, tops, and tights, testing textures and movements. Silk, cotton, lace, they didn't just cover me, they changed the way I moved, the way my reflection responded. Each outfit was a tiny experiment, a step into someone else's skin, yet somehow revealing a side of me I hadn't known. Then came the makeup. Blush, eyeshadow, mascara, and a light touch of lip gloss. Each stroke reshaped the face staring back at me, highlighting features I hadn't realized I could inhabit. I giggled softly, watching how my reflection shifted, learning subtle expressions, testing the tilt of my chin, the curve of a smile. Every small adjustment brought confidence tinged with thrill. I experimented with gestures, too. Fingers brushing hair back, tilting my head in the mirror, the gentle sway of my shoulders as I walked across the room. I twirled once, letting the skirt flare, and froze, heart hammering. It felt electric, like discovering a secret language my body had never spoken. Voice practice followed naturally. Whispering her name, reading aloud from her notebook, humming songs she loved, I noticed the change, soft, melodic, playful. My nervousness didn't vanish, but it became part of the thrill, an exploration of identity that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Somewhere between fear and fascination, I caught myself laughing, twirling, even striking poses I'd never dared before. The private room, the quiet shadows, became a sanctuary for discovery. Every glance in the mirror, every sway of my hips, every practiced gesture chipped away at my panic, leaving a curious, daring version of myself. Yet, there was still the shadow of doubt. Was this me, or her? Every small thrill, every experimental movement, every stolen glance at my reflection blurred the line. I whispered into the mirror, half laughing, half worried, am I becoming her, or am I finding me? By the end of the night, I realized the private experiments had done more than teach me her mannerisms or her appearance. They had unlocked a confidence, a sensuality, a self-awareness I hadn't known existed. The magic of waking up in her skin wasn't just a prank, it was a portal to discovering an untapped part of myself. And as I curled beneath the blankets, skirt still brushing my thighs, reflection smiling softly in the moonlight, I felt a thrill that I couldn't ignore. Tomorrow, the world would see me as her, but I was no longer just playing a role. I was testing the boundaries of this strange, magical identity, and I was starting to like what I discovered. Morning arrived faster than I expected. The sunlight spilled across her room, bouncing off the walls and lighting up every detail I had memorized. I took a deep breath, adjusting the skirt one last time, smoothing the hair over my shoulders. Today, the world outside these walls would see me as her, and I had no choice but to step into her life completely. The bus ride to school was a trial. Each movement felt exaggerated, each glance at myself in the window reflection made my stomach twist. I caught the eyes of strangers on the street, some curious, some amused, some utterly oblivious. I had no control over their perception, only my own posture, my gestures, my voice. Every step was a tightrope act, and one misstep could reveal everything. Walking through the school gates, whispers erupted almost instantly. I felt their eyes, some questioning, some shocked. Is that her? She looks different today. I forced a confident smile, just as she would, tilting my head and letting my hair fall naturally. Each step carried a mix of terror and exhilaration. My heart pounding, my hands shaking slightly. In class, every interaction became a test. Friends greeted me warmly, but I had to mimic her expressions perfectly, adopt her tone, her gestures. One wrong inflection, one too hesitant blink, and someone would know. Yet, as I spoke, something strange happened. The initial panic melted slightly, replaced with a growing awareness of her confidence merging with my own instincts. Lunch was worse. Sitting at her usual table, surrounded by friends who had known her forever, I could feel the scrutiny radiating from every side. Conversations swirled around me. Laughter, whispers, inside jokes I only partially remembered. I had to navigate them carefully, responding in her voice, laughing at the right moments, hiding the internal chaos threatening to betray me. A sudden jolt of panic struck when a friend touched my arm lightly, testing familiarity. You okay? You seem different, they said, eyebrows furrowed. My body froze for a second too long, and I had to force a laugh, a tilt of the head, a practiced gesture I had honed in the mirror. They nodded slowly, satisfied or fooled, and I exhaled silently, heart hammering. Between classes, I found a rare quiet corner in the library. My reflection in the glass whispered reminders of the private lessons I had practiced, posture, gestures, subtle expressions. I ran my fingers along her desk, felt the smooth surface of the books, the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air. The line between her identity and mine blurred further, and with it, a strange thrill pulsed through me. By afternoon, the challenge escalated. A group of classmates approached unexpectedly, teasing, laughing. One asked a pointed question about her weekend, something I had no memory of experiencing. I had to improvise, crafting answers from imagination, blending confidence with charm. Every word, every movement was a gamble. And when I saw the flicker of doubt in their eyes, I felt a surge of adrenaline. I was surviving this, but barely. By the time I walked home, every muscle in my body ached from tension. My mind raced, replaying interactions, gestures, words. The world had seen me as her, but the private thrill of experimentation, The discovery of movement, posture, and confidence had made me feel alive in ways I hadn't expected. That evening, back in her room, I stood before the mirror once again. My reflection smiled knowingly, almost teasing. The world had tested me, and I had passed. But more importantly, I had begun to merge her identity with mine, discovering a new self that neither of us had fully expected. And as I stared into those sparkling eyes, I realized the truth: this was only the beginning. The magic that had transformed me, the challenge that had forced me to inhabit her life, was far from over. Something deeper, more thrilling, awaited, and I was ready to face it.